Welcome to Corvette Today, the show that talks about everything Corvette, with your host, Steve Garrett, lifetime member of the National Corvette Museum, president of the Corvette Club of Kansas City, Missouri, and radio disc jockey at the #1 radio station in Kansas City for over 45 years. Here's Steve Garrett.
Thanks for listening and watching Corvette Today, the show that talks about everything Corvette, and the only current podcast dedicated to Corvette. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. I appreciate you tuning in. Corvette Today is brought to you by Wheelcraft. Want to dress up your Corvette with bright chrome or black chrome wheels? Visit wheelcraft.com and learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or offer a wheel exchange for most models, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. Visit wheelcraft.com today or call them at 833-840-5334. You can listen to Corvette Today on all podcast platforms. You can also listen on your smart device. Just say, "Hey Google," or "Alexa, play the podcast called Corvette Today," and you're connected. And be sure to visit the Corvette Today website. It's CorvetteToday.com. You can access everything there, including the Corvette Today merchandise store. You can also join our Corvette Today Facebook group there as well. Also, make sure you sign up for the Corvette Today emails, notifications, and updates at CorvetteToday.ck.page. And if you like YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our Corvette Today YouTube channel. See all Corvette Today episodes on YouTube as well. And be sure to patronize our flagship sponsors of Corvette Today, MidEngineCorvetteForum.com, the forum that focuses on the new mid-engine C8 Corvette. Meet a lot of fellow Corvette enthusiasts like yourself at MidEngineCorvetteForum.com. Soul Performance Products. Developed and manufactured in the United States, the Soul Performance Products exhaust portfolio has been tailored to elevate the experience of the world's most exciting sports cars, including the latest generation of the Corvette. Soul Performance Products at SOULPP.com, the official performance exhaust of Corvette Today. C8 Rally Driver is the one-stop shop for your C8 Corvette. Choose from custom-designed trunk and front covers, Z06 engine builder CNC plaques, customized wind restrictors, fluid caps, strut covers, rear hatch supports, and more. Everything is uniquely designed to provide you with custom accessories for your C8 Corvette. Visit their website at C8RallyDriver.com and let your imagination run wild. That's C8RallyDriver.com. Aerolarri Wheels, a true forged wheel with over 20 unique styles to choose from for your C8 and wide-body versions of the C7, C6, and C5 Corvette. It's an amazing value, starting at only $23.88 for a set of 4 fully forged wheels. And use the promo code CT111 and get $100 off your purchase. Visit Aerolarri.com. That's AEROLARRI.com. And use the promo code CT111 for your $100 discount. And a shout out to Canadian Corvette Forum and Corvette Forum, welcoming Corvette enthusiasts from around the world. As you know, a favorite saying of mine is every Corvette owner has a story. As a matter of fact, we've done 2 shows with that theme in mind. Well, continuing on that theme is a man that I talked to in the middle of November in episode number 188. He's Dr. Mark Davis, and Mark has owned over 150 Corvettes in his lifetime. I can imagine the Corvette stories he has. Well, Mark is back on the show, and he's going to talk about some of the most significant Corvettes he's owned. First, Mark, welcome back to the show, and I guess I would be remiss if I didn't ask you right off the bat, how many Corvettes are in your garage right now?
Well, Steve, first of all, thanks again for having me back on your show. I sincerely appreciate it. And, I want to say, too, that God blessed us with an amazing sports car in Corvette, America's true sports car. And I have to say he's blessed us with you, too, because you help share the passion that we enjoy so much with all us Corvette guys. So thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Now, to answer your question, and this could be considered a top secret question, but currently in my Corvette barn, I call it, I have 8 Corvettes here, and then I have 6 at another top secret location.
I like that. That's really cool. All right, so tell me about the oldest one and then the most recent acquisition.
Okay, the oldest one I have right now is one of the three cars that I'm taking to Mecum Kissimmee that we've talked about on your previous show. That's the 1962 Red-Red lowest mile first generation Corvette in existence. So that's the oldest one I have right now. But my newest addition is a brand new, I took delivery in June at the National Corvette Museum of a 2023 Z06 3LZ with Z07 race package. It's a white coupe with black interior, red stitching.
Very nice.
That's my newest addition.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure the most memorable Corvette of yours would be maybe your first Corvette. Let's talk about that car. First, where did you get it? When did you get it? And do you remember why you picked that specific Corvette as your first one?
Well, I can. Our topic today is significant Corvettes that I've owned. And I must say this is the most significant Corvette that I've ever owned, in the fact that we wouldn't be talking today if I hadn't bought this Corvette.
That's right.
It started everything. It all began when I was 5 years old. I spotted my first Corvette and went on from there to start working at the age of 10. My goal was to be able to buy a Corvette by the time I got my driver's license at 16. I didn't quite make it, but by the time I was 17, I bought my first Corvette. That first one was a red convertible, black top, two-top convertible, 350, 1969. I had spotted it in town. It was, of course, at the time used. This was in 1972. As I said, I was 17. A couple in town had it, and they had it for sale, so that's what I purchased. That was a very, very significant car because I went on to learn everything about it. I learned how to drive it. I went to a little driving school and worked on it myself and learned everything about the car inside and out. And it proved to me that a Corvette was everything that I had dreamed of as a young kid. And I have to say it was probably the most significant Corvette in my life because it cemented that passion for Corvette, which I still have today as strong as it was back then.
Absolutely. And it was a manual transmission too, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a 350 with manual transmission, 4-speed, and I believe it had a 370 to 1 gear ratio. And I'll tell you, even to this day, after all the Corvettes I've owned, that was just one of the best combinations of drivetrain to learn on and to really perform well. As a matter of fact, I have two of those today. I have a 69 coupe and a 69 convertible like that same first Corvette that both of these have the 350 with manual transmission and 370 gear. And it's just a great all-around good driver. It really proved to me that Corvette was all it was said to be and then some, and that I would have to have one the rest of my life in my life.
That made you a Corvette guy for life, for sure, didn't it?
For life. And now here we are 51 years later, and I've been blessed to have owned, as you said in your intro, 150 or so Corvettes, and I love them as much as I did 51 years ago.
That's amazing. Now let's talk about the McNamara Corvette that you've owned. It's a well-known Corvette, and this car is kind of what gave you the reputation of being the low-mile original Corvette guy, didn't it?
It did. You know, I was known in certain circles as the low-mile original guy, but this really put me on the radar of a lot of people, I guess you might say. For the listeners out there, you can Google the McNamara Corvette or do a YouTube search for Dr. Mark Davis 2,996-mile Corvette, and you'll see all kinds of stories and videos about this car. It was just an incredible piece of automotive history that was significant in the fact that it's still to this day probably the most pristine, all original, like brand new, lowest mile 1967 Corvette 427 Stingray in existence.
Wow.
Now, there is one supposedly that has a few lower miles on it, but it has been disassembled and reassembled for the fact that it was bought new to race back in the day, and then the guy didn't race it, and then years later it was reassembled. So it has lower miles, but it's not a true original car like that McNamara Corvette truly is.
Now, why was it called the McNamara Corvette?
I name all my Corvettes, and I named this one Big Mac appropriately after the original owner, whose name was Donnie McNamara.
Okay.
Donnie was a young man in 1966 that lived from Colorado Springs, and he went to Vietnam. But like so many guys did back in the day, He survived a tour of Vietnam for our country. When he returned home, as I said, lived in Colorado Springs, so him and his buddy celebrated their return from the war by going to Las Vegas for a weekend. He would also often go on to tell before he passed it, that was the only time he ever went to Las Vegas in his life. But he happened to win, believe it or not, Steve, he won $5,000 playing a slot machine.
Wow.
That was a ton of money in the fall of 1966.
For sure.
So he returned home. As I said, he came back from Vietnam. He lived with his parents, and his father was a used car salesman there locally in Colorado Springs. So he took the $5,000 to his dad and said, "Dad, please help me buy a new Corvette. And I want a 427, and I want it to be white with red interior." He said, "They're coming out with a third generation Corvette, and I don't like it, so let's hurry and order this car." So his dad says, "Well, I don't think we can get a new 67 427 with $5,000, but I'll try." So he did. And long story short, he found a dealer in Lamar, Colorado that sold him a brand new white 67 coupe 427, red interior. Donnie was a very patriotic guy, and he wanted this white with red Corvette. And as soon as it came home, he took the black walls off and put a tire that was popular in the day that had two blue pinstripes. You may have remembered it, Steve.
Yeah.
So at that point, when he put those tires on, he had a red, white, and blue Corvette. It was somewhat special. Going back to the story of the car, so Donnie drove it for about 10 or 11 months, licensed it, insured it, drove it sparingly. But after that, the license came due, the taxes came due, insurance came due, and he just told everybody that he'd sold the car. He tucked it away in his one-car, climate-controlled garage and kept it there for the next 40-plus years.
Wow.
And would sneak it out at night, put a few miles on it to keep it exercised, and put it back in the garage. So when the odometer got to 2,996 miles, he didn't want it to cross over the 3,000 barrier, so he never drove it again. And he literally laid red carpet around it.
Amazing.
Going back to the significance of that car, it's just a true benchmark of how exactly a 67 Corvette rolled off the assembly line in 1967.
That's really cool. Now, how did you acquire the car, Mark?
I acquired it. I actually had a broker calling me that was trying to buy one of my Corvettes, and he happened to have just heard about it a day or two before he called me inquiring about another one of my Corvettes, and he proceeded to tell me about it. He said, "You're the first person I've told." He then asked me, "Are you interested?" He said, "All I know is it's white, red interior, and it's supposed to have only 2,900 miles on it." And I said, "Yes, I'm interested under one condition." And he said, "Okay, what's that?" And I said, "I'm the first one there."
Nice.
And he said, "Okay, we've got a deal." I said, "Good. I'm shaking your hand over the phone." So I was the first one there. Donnie had passed away, so I purchased it from his estate.
Do you still own that car?
No, it was sold at Mecum, Houston in 2014. I sold the car there, and I've kept track of it since. A friend of mine actually bought it who lives near Chicago, and he still owns the car today, and it's exactly the way it was, how Donnie left it.
That's fantastic. Well, Mark, let's take our first break. When we come back, we've got two more Corvettes to talk about. One is named Ziggy, and the other is a red 66. That's coming up next here on Corvette Today.
We all know that wheels make the car. Wheelcraft's PVD chrome finish in bright chrome or black chrome will take your Corvette to new levels, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. Durability is a defining feature of the Wheelcraft finish. Their PVD chrome is superior to traditional chrome, with a finish that is brake dust resistant and cleans effortlessly with soap and water. Wheelcraft offers factory wheel exchange for select C4 through C8 models, or they can apply the PVD finish to your current wheels. No matter what generation you own, Wheelcraft will transform the look of your Corvette. With every Corvette comes a unique story, and Wheelcraft has embraced this idea. When you purchase your new set of wheels, you receive a lifetime membership to the Wheelcraft Pit Crew, granting you access to your own page on Wheelcraft's website, where you can post pictures and tell your Corvette story. Visit our website at wheelcraft.com or call 833-639-4231. Arrive in style with Wheelcraft.
If you park your car in your garage and you cover it up with a car cover, think of all the moisture that's coming up from the floor. All that mold and mildew is attracting to your car, your interior. There's rust forming on the suspension underneath. You don't have that with Car Capsule. This is Wayne Carini from Chasing Classic Cars, and this is my 2020 Corvette. If you want to protect your investment, get a Showcase by Car Capsule. No dust, no mildew, and no rust.
The Radiator Grill Store offers C8 Corvette A-pillar wind diffusers in beautiful carbon fiber or OEM gloss black that help reduce wind buffeting when a window is open. Easy installation and OEM fitment. Plus, get 10% off your total purchase with the promo code CT10 at radiatorgrillstore.com.
Are you ready to take your Corvette to the next level? Look no further than Classic Trim Customs. We've manufactured some of the most impressive Corvette parts on the market, from engine bay panels to splitters and side skirts. With over 30 years of experience in hydrographics, we've perfected the technique and use only state-of-the-art materials and equipment to ensure the highest quality and precision. Visit our website at ClassicTrimCustoms.com or give us a call at 305-258-3090 to learn more about our products and services. Whether you want to create a show-stopping ride or just add a touch of personalization, the sky is the limit with Classic Trim Customs. Let us help you create the Corvette of your dreams.
You're listening and watching Corvette Today with Steve Garrett.
Hey, thanks for checking out Corvette Today on podcast and YouTube. It's the only current podcast dedicated to Corvette. Corvette Today is brought to you by Wheelcraft. You want your Corvette looking its best. We'll dress it up with bright chrome or black chrome wheels. Visit wheelcraft.com and learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or do a wheel exchange, and you get a 5-year warranty. Visit wheelcraft.com today or give them a call, 833-639-4231. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. With me is Dr. Mark Davis. We're talking about some of the most significant cars Mark has owned out of the 150-plus Corvettes he's owned in his lifetime. In segment number 2, we're going to talk about Siggy and also a Red 66. Mark, let's start with Siggy first. Let's talk about it. It's a 1958, and it had a unique color combination on it, didn't it?
Yes, hence the name Siggy. This car was signet red with red interior, Steve. Mm-hmm. And the reason that it was so significant is that it is believed to be the only all-original signet red Corvette with original paint in existence.
Wow.
Yeah. 1958 was a unique year for paint colors on a lot of cars, especially Corvette. I think there was 3 or 4 colors that Corvettes were painted in 1958 that were only used in 1958. And one of those colors was signet red. And if your listeners aren't familiar with signet red, it's a real creamy, pale 50s style red that in the Corvette world, they call it the tomato soup car because it literally looks creamy like a bowl of Campbell's tomato soup.
Wow.
It's a very hard color, by the way, to duplicate if you are restoring a Corvette. And once again, going back to the significance of this car, which I named Siggy, is the fact that it was believed to be the only signet red Corvette in existence that had 100% of its all original paint.
Wow.
And it was just a little cream puff. It was a 283, 230, 3-speed signet red with red interior. It had only 37,000 miles. A friend of mine who's a National Corvette Restore Society regional director at one time and has been a judge for multiple years, purchased it from the estate of the original owner, and then I purchased it from him. I went on to take it to have it judged. It won a Bloomington Survivor Award. There's only been 3 1958s ever to win the coveted 5-star bow tie preservation award by the NCRS.
Wow.
This is one of those 3. And not only is it one of the 3, it's the only 5-star bow tie award winner in signet red, of course.
Man.
So it was just a very significant car. And for people that own 58s or were restoring a 58 to actually see, hey, that's how that color really truly looks and looked in 1958. It was a fun, significant car. And I must say, too, the ladies seemed to love that car.
Nice. And they only made like 1,400 of signet red, didn't they?
Yeah, I think actually it was 1,399, I think they made.
Okay.
There was some other colors that were unique to 58, like Panama yellow, and then there was a tan as well. So it's one of those rare Corvettes that you'll hardly will ever see one, but once you do, you know, hey, that's that tomato soup car.
That's funny. Do you still own that car, Mark?
No, I sold it in 2021 at Mecum, Indianapolis, along with some other Red-Red survivors.
Very nice. Speaking of Red-Red survivors, we've got another C2 here that we're going to talk about. What's the spec on this Corvette?
Oh, well, going back to nicknames, as you tend together, I name most of my cars, and my wife has fun helping me. But this next car we're going to talk about was very significant, so significant that I named it Zora, after the Corvette founding father, Zora Arkus Duntov. The reason it was significant, this car is believed to be, if not the lowest mile, one of the lowest mile 1966 Stingrays in existence. Of course, it was the first year for 427 in Corvette, and this car was a 1966 Corvette convertible, 427, 390 horsepower, 4-speed, red, and then this is the kicker. It had red leather interior.
Ooh.
Yes, and, red with red leather was rare back in the 60s. Most guys in the 60s wouldn't order leather interior, let alone red leather interior. One of the significant things of this car is it was ordered new by a female. That's why it ended up with red leather interior.
Oh, very nice. And it's won a lot of awards as well, hasn't it?
It's probably the most awarded 66 Corvette in the world. It also had won an NCR's 5-star bow tie preservation award. I took it on to win Bloomington Survivor, Gold, and Benchmark. It also won Best in Class at the second ever Greenbrier Concours d'Elegance in preservation class and was on the cover of their magazine, and it was also used by them in their promotional marketing for their Concours d'Elegance. So it was a very, very special car, and I must say it was a beautiful car. The red with red leather, convertible with black top, it was stunning.
Had to be a showstopper, that's for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And a little story about the car. I told you that it was ordered new by a female, hence the red leather interior. I had a couple letters that I'd received from the original owner, and I must say she was a little spitfire. She was from the Pittsburgh area and a wealthy lady that had a lake house. In 1965, she had a 65 Mustang that she would keep at her lake house and drive around and play with. She heard in the fall of 1966 that Corvette had come out with a 427 Corvette that would outrun her Mustang. So she had to have one, so she ordered this car, red with red leather interior, and replaced her Ford Mustang. And then she would go on to say in her letters, and fast it was. She said, I got 2 speeding tickets in the car and almost lost my driver's license.
That's awesome. Now, where is that car today, Mark?
That car, I sold it in the Red-Red Survivor collection at Mecum, Indianapolis. It was bought by a private Corvette collector. To be honest, he was anonymous, and I don't know where that car is today.
Gotcha. Well, buddy, let's take our final break. When we come back, we have 2 more Corvettes coming up next, right here on Corvette Today.
Are you ready for a better insurance policy without the Corvette tax? With Agreed Value Protection, the value of your collector vehicle will never change. Plus, you'll save money. Get a quick quote at ncminsurance.com.
Hey, honey, are you awake?
I am now.
I can't sleep. Since turning 50, I keep dreaming of a red door and a blue door, somehow knowing there are only choices for retirement.
Okay.
Through the red door, we outlive our money. We have to rely on our kids. We're stuck on a fixed income. It's terrifying.
Yeah, that would suck.
But through the blue door, our money outlives us. We retire on our terms. Our kids stay our kids, not our caretakers. We make work optional.
Yes, that's much better. That's what I want too. But what do we do?
We call True Wealth & Company at 913-653-8783. They specialize in helping successful people make work optional. They're our fiduciary Blue Door personal wealth managers.
Hey, where are you going? It's 3 a.m.
I can't sleep. I'm going to check out True Wealth & Company online at retirewithtrue.com. That Blue Door is going to be our retirement.
913-653-8783. Visit us online at retirewithtrue.com. Investment advice offered through True Wealth & Company, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Kansas.
VetFinders.com is the Internet's original Corvette classified ads website, with classified ads starting at just $25. And every ad runs until your Corvette is sold. If you're in the market for a Corvette, VetFinders.com has over 500 Corvettes for sale from all around the USA and Canada and covering all 8 generations. Visit VetFinders.com, the Internet's destination for buying and selling Corvettes. That's VETTE Finders.com.
When you want to buy a Corvette, or any Chevrolet for that matter, get yours from Hendrick Chevrolet Shawnee Mission, located in Kansas City. Hendrick Chevrolet is the largest Corvette dealership and showroom in the Midwest. With a knowledgeable sales staff and Corvette sales specialists on hand, they'll help you build the Corvette of your dreams, and they ship nationwide. With Corvette certified master mechanics on site and a huge parts department with over 24,000 parts and $2 million in inventory, Hendrick Chevrolet is well equipped to take care of your every need. From sales to service to collision repair, Hendrick Chevrolet has you covered. Visit ChevyUSA.com or call 913-384-1550.
And now back to the only current podcast on Corvettes, Corvette Today, with your host, Steve Garrett.
Thanks again for listening and watching Corvette Today, the show that talks about everything Corvette. Corvette Today is brought to you by Wheelcraft. You want your Corvette looking its best? Well, dress it up with bright chrome or black chrome wheels. Visit wheelcraft.com and learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or do a wheel exchange, and you get a 5-year warranty. So visit wheelcraft.com today or give them a call at 833-639-4231. I'm your host, Steve Garrett. Every Corvette owner has a story. I'm with Dr. Mark Davis, who has owned over 150 Corvettes in his lifetime. In this final segment, we've got more Red-Red Corvettes. Mark, let's get the first one up here and talk about the backstory on this Red C2.
Absolutely. Glad to, Steve. And continuing, as you said, with the red theme, I tend to like red cars, but I do like other colors as well. But this next car we're going to talk about was another significant Corvette as per the theme of this show. And the significance of this car is it happens to be the only red 1965 396 known to have ever won a Bloomington Survivor Gold and Benchmark Awards.
Wow.
As I said, it was a 1965 red convertible 396, both tops, with a 4-speed. What made it special, it's the only one in red, a 396 to ever win those awards. So it was very special. I may say this too, as a young kid, I always thought that 1965 was a special year. And the fact that, that was the first year of a big block and the only year that a 396 was put into a Corvette.
I was going to say the 65s had a lot of firsts in them, didn't they?
65 had a lot of firsts, not only for Corvettes, but for the automotive world in general. As I said, it was the first year for a big block engine ever put in a Corvette, which debuted as a 396 with a 425 horsepower rating. It was also the first year for such items as disc brakes, teakwood steering wheel, power antenna, gold line tires, I believe Comfort and Convenience Group. As I said, there was a lot of first in Corvette for that year. And speaking of that 396, when they put the 396 in the Corvette, they had to make some extra room for it. So they had that new bulging hood on a 65 396. That was just kind of cool. As a kid, if you saw one, you'd think, wow, that's not a normal Corvette. It's got something bulging out from under that hood. It's got to be something special.
Yeah. You just can't beat a good mid-year C2 Corvette, Mark.
You can't. I mean, there's nothing like them. And if you've driven them, they're very special to drive.
Yeah.
And it was just cool, the fact that 65 was the only year for a 396, and I think they only built something like 2,150, some of them.
Wow.
And they were just very cool. They had a unique sound, unique feel. And believe it or not, I've had so many of the 65s. I think I've had 4 or 5 65s. And they even have a unique interior smell when you get to know them. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Now, you touched on some of the awards that this car has won. Let's talk about the awards it's won and some of the national accolades as well.
Yes, as I said, it's the only red 396 1965 Corvette to have ever won Bloomington Survivor Gold and Benchmark. And in 2009, it was displayed at the Bloomington Gold Special Collection, which was very cool. In addition to that, Sports Car Market Magazine founder and publisher and TV personality Keith Martin, I'm sure you know who Keith.
Oh, yeah.
He declared in one of his magazines back when it was in the special collection that it was probably the finest example of an original 1965 396 425 convertible in existence. Wow. Obviously, this was a very special, historically important Corvette.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's go from a red C2 to a red C3. You've got another big, significant C3 Corvette for us.
Another big red significant Corvette. This was a 1968, also red, 427, 435 convertible that I appropriately named Red Baron. And again, speaking of low miles and low mile original, this car was all original, of course. It was a two-top convertible. It had, of course, the 427, 435, and is believed to be the best low mile, all original, and most award-winning 1968 427, 435 in existence in red.
Wow.
So very special car. It had been used and continues to be used at multiple judging training seminars to train judges on how 68s were built. They were a unique bird in the fact that it was the first year for C3, so there were quite a few things a little different on the 68 that changed in 69 and later years. The judges are always really interested in seeing one that's all original and still in pristine condition so that they can study and learn from that car.
Yeah. This had a rare build spec on it too, didn't it?
It did, in the fact that it is red, two-top convertible, 427, 435. So they didn't make very many that way. I mean, I'd be willing to say there was maybe only a handful red 427, 435 convertibles.
Left, yeah, absolutely.
And this one happened to have only 27,000 very well-maintained, documented original miles and was simply in just immaculate, pristine, all-original condition. The convertible top has been pictured and studied for the judge's manual because it was so pristine and so like new that it's been used as an example.
That's really, really cool. Where is that car now, Mark?
That car was sold also at a Mecum auction in 2021. It went to a gentleman in Florida who has several Corvettes, and he's continuing to keep it preserved and calls me from time to time to check in and let me know how it's doing and also ask me preservation questions on what he should do and shouldn't do. And I want to also add that car, talking about the significance, Steve, I think there's only been 11 1968 Corvettes to have ever won an NCRS 5-star bow tie preservation award. And this is the only one in red to have ever won that award, and only one of 11 to have ever won the award in general. So that's very special. And I also might add that it also has won a preservation class award at the Greenbrier Concours d'Elegance, along with Bloomington Survivor Gold and Benchmark Awards. It was also displayed in Bloomington Gold Special Collection of Shark Corvettes in 2019. Once again, just a very special and significant piece of Corvette history that's just fun to look at.
Very cool. Buddy, this has been so much fun listening to hear you talk about all these Corvettes that you've owned. This has just been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to come back on Corvette Today.
Steve, thank you again. You and Corvette Today, I really appreciate all that you do for our passion. And I meant what I said in the beginning. God has blessed us with you to share this passion, and it's greatly appreciated. And I enjoyed it, and please call upon me anytime.
Thanks again for listening and watching Corvette Today. And be sure to tell your family, friends, and other Corvette enthusiasts about the Corvette Today show. And thanks to our sponsors, Wheelcraft. Want to dress up your Corvette with bright chrome or black chrome wheels? Visit wheelcraft.com to learn about their advanced PVD chrome finishing. They can refinish your wheels or offer a wheel exchange for most models, and it comes with a 5-year warranty. Visit wheelcraft.com today or call 833-840-5334. Soul Performance Products at soulpp.com, the official exhaust of Corvette Today. True Wealth & Company at retirewithtrue.com. Also, Aerolari Wheels, get $100 off your purchase with the new promo code CT111 at aerolari.com. And Hendrick Chevrolet in Kansas City at ChevyUSA.com.
Thanks for checking out Corvette Today on podcast and YouTube. If you'd like to contact Steve with ideas for Corvette Today, you can email him at stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. Garrett has 2 R's and 2 T's. That's stevegarrettdj@gmail.com. Also, sign up for email notifications at corvettetoday.ck.page. Follow Steve and the show on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Threads at Steve Garrett DJ. Thanks again for listening and watching Corvette Today.